You open your eyes, and you're in the Stone Age. The first thing you notice is the cold. Not the kind of cold where you adjust the thermostat. The kind that seeps into your bones because you're sleeping on the ground in a cave with a fire that's burning low. The second thing you notice is the sound. Breathing. Lots of it. You're surrounded by 32 other people, all sleeping, pressed together for warmth. Someone's snoring. A baby is whimpering softly. Two people are murmuring to each other in the darkness. The third thing you notice, as your eyes adjust to the dim firelight, is that this is your reality. This has always been your reality. You've never slept in a bed. You've never been alone. You've never seen a building or a road or anything humans will create in the distant future. This cave, this tribe, this life, this is everything you know and everything you'll ever know. You're maybe 25 years old, which makes you neither young nor old by Stone Age standards. You've lived long enough to understand how this world works, long enough to have hunted successfully, to have had lovers, to have created things with your hands, to have watched people die and babies be born, long enough to know that your time is limited, but also long enough to have stopped worrying about it most days. You're alive right now, and that's what matters. Welcome to approximately 30,000 BCE. No civilization exists anywhere on Earth. No agriculture, no cities, no writing, no concept of history or future beyond the immediate. Just small groups of humans living as they've lived for hundreds of thousands of years, hunting, gathering, creating, connecting, surviving. And here's what nobody tells you about this primitive existence. You're probably more psychologically healthy, more deeply connected, and more satisfied with your life than most people living 40,000 years in your future. Hey, before we explore what it actually means to be born and live in the Stone Age from an adult perspective, like and subscribe for more immersive journeys into historical realities that challenge what you think you know. Now let's talk about your life in the Stone Age, what you do all day, how you survive, what gives your life meaning, and why you might be happier than people with smartphones and climate control. Waking up. Your daily reality in the cave. You sit up carefully, trying not to disturb the people sleeping next to you. Your back aches from sleeping on the ground. It always aches. You're so used to it that you barely notice anymore. Your breath makes clouds in the cold air. The fire has burned down to embers during the night, and someone needs to add wood soon or it'll die completely. You look around the cave in the early morning dimness. Bodies everywhere, wrapped in hides and furs, pressed together in family groups and friendship clusters. You can identify everyone just by their sleeping positions and breathing patterns. There's Kale, the best tracker in the tribe, curled protectively around his pregnant partner. There's old Mira, probably the oldest person you've ever known, at maybe 35. Sleeping alone near the warmth of the fire. There's a cluster of children, including your own daughter, all tangled together like puppies. This is your tribe. These 32 people are your entire social world. You know everything about them, their skills, their fears, their histories, who's sleeping with whom, who has conflicts with whom, every significant thing that's ever happened to them. They know everything about you, too. There are no strangers here, no casual acquaintances, no surface-level relationships. Everyone is known completely, for better and worse. You stand, stretching out the stiffness, and walk to the cave entrance. The sun is just starting to lighten the sky. The valley below is covered in morning mist. Somewhere in the distance you hear animal calls, birds waking up, maybe deer moving through the forest. This is the world. Forest and valley and river and sky and the animals that live here alongside you. No roads, no buildings, no signs of human presence beyond your tribe's temporary camp. You're not thinking about how primitive this is because you have no comparison. This is just life. The cave provides shelter. The forest provides food. The tribe provides everything else. Safety, companionship, purpose, meaning. What else would you need? The concept of more doesn't really exist when you're living at the edge of what's possible with available technology and resources. Someone else is waking up now. Then another. The tribe stirs gradually as morning arrives. No one uses alarm clocks or has schedules to meet. You wake when you wake. You start the day when it starts. You do what needs doing. The day will unfold based on immediate needs and opportunities, not on pre-planned agendas or distant deadlines. The work, surprisingly brief, surprisingly satisfying. Here's something that would shock people living in 2025. You work maybe 3 to 4 hours a day. That's it. The rest of your time is genuinely free. Free to socialize, to create, to rest, to do whatever you want. This isn't laziness or inefficiency. This is actually optimal for your survival strategy. The tribe needs food for today and maybe tomorrow. You can't store much beyond drying some meat or keeping extra hides. Everything you own has to be carried when the tribe moves to follow animal migrations or seasonal resources. So accumulating surplus provides no benefit. You take what you need, and then you stop working because additional work provides no additional advantage. Today you're going hunting. You and 4 other men head out around mid-morning, tracking deer that were spotted yesterday near the river. Hunting isn't the dramatic chase that movies will someday portray. It's mostly walking quietly through the forest, reading nearly invisible signs, being patient for hours or days until an opportunity presents itself. You're good at this. Not the best hunter in the tribe. Kyle has that distinction, but competent and reliable. You can read tracks, understand animal behavior, throw a spear with decent accuracy. These skills took years to develop through observation and practice. Nobody taught you in formal lessons. You watched skilled hunters, tried to copy what they did, failed repeatedly, gradually improved. Now younger men watch you the same way. The tracking takes most of the morning. You follow broken twigs, disturbed leaves, tracks in soft ground, fresh droppings. Kale leads, barely speaking, communicating mostly through hand signals. The other hunters spread out in practiced formation. You've done this together so many times that the coordination is automatic. When you finally locate the deer, a small group grazing in a clearing, the patience shifts to intense focus. Kyle signals the plan. 2 hunters circle around. 3 wait here. When the deer bolt, they should run toward you. If everything works, someone gets a shot. If it doesn't, you track them again tomorrow. The deer startle and run. One comes directly toward your position. You throw your spear, aiming for the chest, leading the movement slightly the way experience has taught you. The spear hits, not perfectly. You catch the shoulder instead of the heart, but enough. The deer stumbles. Another hunter throws and brings it down. Quick work with knives ends its suffering. You feel the familiar mixture of triumph and something else. Maybe regret, maybe respect, maybe just acknowledgement of the transaction. The deer died so you could eat. Its spirit gave this gift. You thank it silently, the way you've been taught, the way that keeps you connected to the reality of what hunting actually is. Back at camp, there's quiet satisfaction. Fresh meat means everyone eats well tonight. The women take over processing the deer, using every single part. Meat for eating now and drying for later, hide for clothing or shelter, bones for tools, sinews for thread, organs for various purposes. Nothing is wasted because waste is unthinkable when resources are precious. Your work is basically done for the day. You hunted for maybe 4 hours total. Now it's afternoon and you're free. This is normal. Some days you hunt. Some days you gather plants with the women and children. Some days you make or repair tools. Some days you do almost nothing productive and nobody judges you for it because there's no productivity requirement beyond help the tribe eat. Relationships, complex, public, surprisingly functional. You sit by the fire in the afternoon, working on a new spear point. The flint knapping requires concentration, striking the stone at precise angles to flake off chips and create sharp edges. It's meditative work that you find satisfying independent of its practical necessity. Kira sits down next to you. She's been your primary partner for a few years now, though partner is a loose concept here. You sleep together most nights, you've had a child together, you help each other with various tasks, but you're not exclusively bound to each other in the way future marriages will formalize relationships. She's been gathering plants today and has a basket full of roots, berries, and leafy greens. She offers you some berries without speaking. You eat them, grateful. The sweetness is intense. You don't eat sweet things often, so when you do, it's almost overwhelming. Nock was asking about you, she says casually, sorting through her gatherings. Nock is another hunter, roughly your age, someone you've known your entire life. What about me? He wants to trade that carved bone knife you made, offering 3 good rabbit pelts. You consider this. The knife took you days to make, carving intricate patterns into the handle just because it pleased you aesthetically. But 3 rabbit pelts would be useful. Maybe. This is how economics works here. Barter and exchange based on immediate needs and perceived value. No money, no abstract wealth, just direct trading of useful or beautiful things. The carved knife has value because you invested time in making it beautiful, and because Nock wants it. The pelts have value because they'd keep you warmer next winter. Kira shifts closer, her leg pressing against yours. The contact is casual but intentional. You know what she's indicating. Later tonight, if you both want to, you'll move to the edge of the sleeping area and have sex. Everyone will know what you're doing because privacy doesn't exist. But nobody will care because sex is normal, biological, unremarkable. But you also know that Kira sometimes sleeps with Nock. Not frequently, not as her primary partner, but occasionally. This would be considered cheating in future monogamous cultures. Here it's just normal. Kira chooses who she wants when she wants. You have no ownership claim on her sexuality. Sometimes she chooses you, sometimes Nock, sometimes neither. You're not thrilled about this arrangement emotionally. There's definitely jealousy when you know she's with Nock, but you also accept it as reality. Women choose in this dynamic because they're the ones who risk pregnancy and childbirth. Men compete by being good providers and attractive partners. Women evaluate and select. Fighting about it would be pointless and socially destructive. Your daughter runs over, maybe 4 years old, covered in dirt from playing. She climbs into Kira's lap without asking, completely comfortable with her mother's body. Children here have constant physical contact with adults, being held, carried, sleeping, pressed against warm bodies. The independence that future cultures will teach children doesn't exist. Connection is constant and expected. You watch Kira clean your daughter's face with water and his soft hide, murmuring to her gently, "This is your family," though the term means something different here than it will mean in future nuclear family structures. Your daughter might not be biologically yours. There's no way to know for certain and nobody asks. Kira was sleeping with both you and Nock when she got pregnant. The child is hers, obviously. She's also the tribe's child, raised communally with everyone invested in her survival and success. Later, after dark, after the tribe has eaten and the fire is built up for the night, you and Kira do move to the edge of the group. The sex is quick, quiet, unremarkable. Its connection and pleasure and biological drive satisfied. When you're done, you move back to the main sleeping area and settle in for the night. Kira on one side of you, your daughter on the other, surrounded by the breathing warmth of 30 other people. This is intimacy without privacy, connection without isolation, family without exclusivity. It works because everyone accepts it as normal. The complications come from human emotions. Jealousy, preference, attachment, but the structure itself is stable and functional. You're not lonelier than future humans with their private bedrooms and nuclear families. You're actually far less lonely. You're never alone, never without human contact, never lacking for community. Creating meaning. Art in a world without future. On days when no hunting or gathering is necessary, when the tribe has adequate food and no immediate crises, you paint. The tribe camps near a cave system with smooth limestone walls that are perfect for this purpose. You've been painting on these walls since you were a teenager, and now they're covered with layers of images created by you and others over years. You mix red ochre clay with animal fat to create paint. The ochre comes from deposits in the riverbed that you collect specifically for this purpose. Mixed with fat, it becomes sticky enough to adhere to stone. You also use charcoal from the fire for black. 2 colors, but enough to create images that satisfy something deep in your psychology. Today you're painting the deer from yesterday's hunt. Not because anyone asked you to. Not because it serves practical purpose, but because you want to. You want to capture the animal's essence on this wall, to honor it, to create something that will outlast your temporary life. You use your fingers to apply the paint, feeling the texture of the stone, making broad strokes and careful details. The deer takes shape gradually: body, legs, head, antlers. It's not photographic representation. You're not trying to capture every detail accurately. You're trying to capture the deer's spirit, its significance, what it meant that this animal died to feed your tribe. Other people have painted on these walls too. Next to your deer is a mammoth painted by Kale years ago, rendered in charcoal with incredible detail. Someone else has created a series of handprints, dozens of human hands in red ochre, just the outline, created by placing a hand on the wall and blowing paint around it. You don't know who made all of them. Some are from people now dead. The hands remain, evidence that those people existed, created, left marks. This moves you in ways you can't articulate. These images will last far longer than any human life. Long after you're dead, long after everyone you know is dead, long after your tribe itself is probably gone, these paintings will remain. Future humans, unimaginably distant future humans, will see these walls and know that you existed, that you created, that you thought and felt and made meaning in a world that provided no inherent meaning. An older man named Torin sits nearby working on a bone flute. He's been making these instruments for years, hollowing out bird bones, drilling holes at precise locations through some combination of skill and intuition. When he plays them, the sound is haunting and beautiful. Pure melody with no words, no structure, just sound that creates moods and emotions. He plays now, testing the new flute. The notes echo off the cave walls, creating harmonics that wouldn't exist in open air. Other people stop what they're doing to listen. A few children start dancing, not choreographed movement, just spontaneous response to music. Adults watch and smile. This is what you do with leisure time. Create beauty, make music, paint images, craft objects that serve no survival purpose but satisfy aesthetic and spiritual needs. You're not just surviving, you're living. You're making meaning in a temporary existence, creating beauty in a harsh world, expressing something fundamentally human that transcends mere biology. The shaman says the paintings capture animal spirits and improve hunting success. You're not entirely sure you believe this literally, but you also notice that tribes that create art do seem to be successful, and that ritual and art create psychological states that might actually improve performance. Whether the mechanism is spiritual or psychological, it works. But beyond any practical benefit, you paint because creating feels necessary, because beauty matters, because leaving evidence of your existence feels important, even though you'll never see what happens to these images after you're gone. You paint because you're human, and humans create. Tikaaldo's beliefs finding order in chaos. Everything has a spirit. This isn't metaphor or primitive misunderstanding. This is how you experience the world. The deer you killed yesterday had a spirit that you thanked for its sacrifice. The cave you shelter in has a spirit that you respect by keeping it clean. The river has a spirit that you honor by not polluting it. The forest, the mountains, the sky, the fire, all contain spirits that must be acknowledged and respected. The shaman is the person who understands spirits most deeply. He's maybe 40 years old, which makes him ancient by your standards. He's survived this long partly through luck and partly through specialization. Shamans don't hunt as regularly. They perform different services for the tribe. You're sitting with him now late afternoon, watching him prepare for tonight's ceremony. Certain mushrooms grow in the forest during specific seasons. When collected and eaten, they induce states of consciousness that the shaman says allow communication with the spirit world. You've experienced these states several times during your coming-of-age ceremony, and a few times since out of curiosity and spiritual seeking. Will you participate tonight? The shaman asks, sorting through dried mushrooms. You consider. The experience is profound, but also demanding. Hours of altered consciousness, where reality dissolves and reforms in ways that feel more real than normal life. Colors become impossibly vivid. Patterns appear in everything. Time stops having meaning. You feel connected to the earth, the tribe, the universe in ways that seem to reveal fundamental truths. Yes, you decide. You've been feeling disconnected lately, going through motions without really engaging. The ceremony might help reconnect you to the deeper significance of existence. That night, the tribe gathers in the cave. Not everyone participates directly. Children and pregnant women abstain, some adults choose not to, but everyone is present for the ceremony. The shaman distributes the mushrooms. You eat your portion, chewing the bitter dried flesh, washing it down with water. At first nothing happens, then gradually, subtly, things start changing. The firelight seems brighter, more golden. The cave walls begin to pulse slightly, breathing. Someone starts drumming on a hollow log, and the rhythm seems to sync with your heartbeat. Torin plays his bone flute, and the music becomes visible somehow. You can see the sound waves rippling through the air. You close your eyes and see geometric patterns, infinitely complex and beautiful, overlaying everything. When you open them, the cave has transformed. The walls are covered in flowing patterns that weren't there before, or maybe they were always there, and you just couldn't see them. The people around you glow with subtle light. You can feel their presence more intensely than usual. Feel the connection between all of you as almost physical reality. The shaman is chanting, though you can't understand the words. The meaning comes through anyway. Something about the animal spirits, about gratitude, about the cycle of life and death and life again. You feel overwhelming love for your tribe, for the animals that feed you, for the earth that supports all of this. Tears run down your face, and you're not embarrassed because this is sacred space where emotions are welcome. At some point, you have no idea how much time has passed. You have a vision of the deer from yesterday's hunt, but not dead, alive, vibrant, teaching you about itself, where to aim, how to read its movements, why it allowed itself to be killed to feed you. Whether this is actual spiritual communication or your unconscious processing hunting knowledge through symbolic imagery, you can't tell, and it doesn't matter. The teaching is real regardless of mechanism. Eventually, gradually, you come back to normal consciousness. Hours have passed. The fire has burned low. Some people are sleeping. Others sit quietly, processing their own experiences. You feel exhausted and profoundly peaceful simultaneously. Connected to something larger than yourself. Grateful to be alive. To be part of this tribe. To exist in this moment. The shaman catches your eye and nods, acknowledging the experience without needing to discuss it. Some things can't be put into words. You just live them, integrate them, carry them forward. Aging, becoming the elder. You're 32 now, and your body tells you clearly that you're entering the final phase of life. Your joints ache constantly. You have scars from injuries that didn't heal perfectly. A spear wound on your shoulder that gets stiff in cold weather. Marks on your leg from an encounter with a wild boar. Countless smaller scars from a lifetime of minor injuries. You've lost 2 teeth. Your hair shows significant gray. Your hands, calloused and strong, sometimes shake slightly in the mornings. You're not old by the standards of people living 40,000 years in the future, but by Stone Age standards, you're ancient. Most people don't make it this far. You've survived childhood diseases that killed siblings. You've survived hunting accidents. You've survived harsh winters and periods of food scarcity. You've survived infections that had no treatment beyond hoping your immune system would handle it. Each year you survive past 30 is statistical improbability. But survival has granted you something valuable. Knowledge. You know where the best hunting grounds are in each season. You can predict weather patterns from subtle signs. You know which plants heal and which kill. You understand animal behavior from decades of observation. You can make superior tools because you've made thousands of them and learned from every failure. Younger hunters seek your guidance now. They watch how you track, how you read signs, how you make decisions about when to pursue and when to wait. You teach them the way older hunters taught you, through demonstration, through stories that encode practical knowledge, through patient correction of mistakes that could be dangerous if left uncorrected. You also spend more time with children. Your daughter is grown now, maybe 15, already partnered with a young hunter and pregnant with her first child. But there are always younger children in the tribe, and they cluster around you when you're making tools or preparing for hunts. They ask endless questions. You answer them, passing on knowledge that will help them survive when you're gone. You're aware that you're probably going to die relatively soon. Not today or tomorrow necessarily, but within the next few years, almost certainly. This doesn't terrify you the way it might terrify someone who's never confronted mortality directly. You've seen many people die. You've participated in burial rituals more times than you can count. Death is natural, inevitable, not something to be feared excessively. What does bother you occasionally is the thought of what you'll leave behind. Your daughter will remember you for a while. Maybe tell her children about you. Your paintings on the cave walls will last far longer than any human memory. The tools you've made will be used until they break. The knowledge you've shared will propagate through younger generations. These are your immortality. Not perfect, not permanent, but something. You think about this one evening, sitting alone, actually alone, which is rare, at the edge of camp watching the sunset. The sky is orange and purple, the air is cooling. Night is coming. You've seen thousands of sunsets, but you try to really see this one, to be present with it, to appreciate the beauty without taking it for granted. This is life. These moments of awareness, of beauty, of connection. Not the dramatic events or major accomplishments, just sitting here, breathing, watching light change, being conscious and alive for another day. You're grateful for it, grateful to have lived this long, to have experienced what you've experienced, to have been part of this tribe and this world. You'll die soon, but you've lived, fully, intensely, connected to people and place and purpose. What more could anyone ask for? The paradox. Harsh conditions. Deep satisfaction. It's winter and you're cold. Miserably, constantly cold. The cave provides shelter from wind and snow, but it's still freezing. The fire never seems adequate. You wear every hide and fur you own and still feel cold. Your fingers and toes go numb regularly. You wonder if you'll ever feel truly warm again. Food is scarce too. The hunting is poor in winter. Animals are harder to find. The deer are lean and provide less meat. The plants you gathered and dried in autumn are running low. Everyone is hungry more often than not, eating smaller portions to make supplies last until spring. Children cry from hunger. Adults bear it silently, but everyone feels it. These conditions should make you miserable. By any objective measure, you're living in extreme hardship. No comfort, no security. No reliable food source, no medical care. No escape from cold or hunger, or the constant physical demands of survival. But here's the strange thing. You're probably happier than most people living 40,000 years in your future, not because the conditions are good, they're objectively harsh, but because human psychology evolved for exactly these conditions, and in some fundamental ways, you're more psychologically healthy than future humans will be, despite all their comfort and technology. You're sitting by the fire after a meager evening meal and someone starts telling a story, a hunting story that went wrong in a way that's funny in retrospect. Everyone laughs, including the person who messed up, because the ability to laugh at yourself is valued here. The laughter is genuine, warm, connecting. You laugh every day despite the hardships. Something is always funny, a mistake, a child doing something adorable, someone's exaggerated retelling of an old story. Your social needs are met completely. You're never lonely because you're never alone. You know everyone who matters and they know you. There are no shallow relationships or transactional friendships. Everyone depends on everyone else for survival. The bonds are deep and real because they have to be. Your work has clear meaning and purpose. You hunt to feed people you love. The connection between effort and result is direct and visible. There's no existential crisis about whether your work matters. Of course it matters. People eat because you hunt. The purpose is obvious and satisfying. Your body works as it evolved to work. You're constantly moving, facing physical challenges, using your strength and skills. The discomfort is real, but your body is strong and capable. You're healthier than future sedentary people, despite having no medicine. Your cardiovascular system is incredible from constant movement. Your muscles are dense from daily use. You're fit in ways that future athletes will train for hours to achieve. You create things that satisfy aesthetic and spiritual needs. The paintings, the music, the carved tools that are beautiful as well as functional. You're not just surviving, you're making meaning, creating beauty, expressing something fundamentally human. You live entirely in the present. You don't worry about the distant future because it's too uncertain to plan for. You don't dwell on the past because it's done and unchangeable. You're here now, in this moment, the only moment that exists. This creates a kind of peace that future people will spend fortunes trying to recapture through meditation and mindfulness training. The trade-offs are real. You'll die young. Injuries can become disabilities. Hunger happens. Cold is constant in winter. Safety is never guaranteed. But in exchange, you get genuine community, clear purpose, creative expression, physical vitality, present moment awareness, and deep psychological integration that future civilized people will lose and spend their lives trying to recover. You're not thinking about any of this analytically. You're just living, waking up, doing what needs doing, spending time with people you care about, creating things that satisfy you, facing challenges as they come, laughing regularly, existing in your body and your moment, without constant anxiety about past or future. This is normal to you. You've never known anything else. But what you have is actually extraordinarily rare and valuable. Wholeness. You're a complete human being living as humans evolved to live. Integrated work and life, body and mind, individual and community, present and timeless. You're not fragmented, not alienated, not searching for meaning because meaning is obvious. You're simply alive, and that's enough. Conclusion: born into hardship, living with wholeness. You open your eyes one morning, like you do every morning, and you're in the Stone Age. This is your life. This has always been your life. Cold caves, hard ground, constant hunger, early death, but also deep community, clear purpose, creative expression, physical vitality, genuine connection, present moment peace. The Stone Age gets remembered as brutal, primitive nightmare by people who've never seriously considered what it actually involved psychologically and socially. Yes, the material conditions were harsh. Yes, people died young. Yes, comfort and security were rare, but the psychological and social dimensions were arguably superior to what came after. You worked less than modern people work. You had deeper relationships than modern people manage. You were more physically healthy than sedentary future people. You had more leisure time than workers in advanced economies. You had clearer purpose and more genuine community. You lived briefly, but you lived fully, intensely, connected to people and place and meaning. Agriculture and civilization brought tremendous advances. Longer life, more material comfort, accumulated knowledge, technological progress. But they also brought alienation, inequality, meaningless work, social isolation, anxiety about futures that never quite arrive, and psychological disorders that barely existed in hunter-gatherer societies. The Stone Age wasn't paradise. It was hard and dangerous and uncomfortable. But it also wasn't the hellish existence that modern people imagine. It was humans living as humans evolved to live, in small groups, working enough to survive but not more, creating art and meaning, connecting deeply with each other and environment, dying young but living fully until they did. If you enjoyed this exploration of what being born in the Stone Age actually meant from an adult perspective, the harsh conditions and deep satisfactions, the mortality and meaning, the surprising psychological health, subscribe for more examinations of historical realities that challenge comfortable modern assumptions. You were born in the Stone Age. You lived as humans were designed to live for hundreds of thousands of years. Connected, purposeful, present, physically vital, socially embedded, creatively expressive, psychologically integrated. The trade-offs were real. Comfort for connection, longevity for intensity, security for freedom, complexity for simplicity. But you had something most modern people lack despite all their advantages: wholeness. And wholeness might be worth more than everything that came after.